nobody's, trying to be positive. You know what I mean? Even in some cases, even the church that we go to, that we attend, is negativity there as well. So welcome to Connected Through Christ CTC Lifestyle, where we believe that serving God is a lifestyle and it's not a religion. We are here to help you if you're trying to strengthen or build your relationship with God. We believe that in doing this, it will help you understand who you are, fulfill your destiny in life, and carry out your purpose. So we're going to get right into it. I'm Will, and we are going to go over The Power of Positive Thinking by Norman Vincent Peale. This is basically book that we are going to be covering today, and this kind of goes into our self-development aspect rather, to where we are want to just basically encourage people to, in addition to reading the Bible, is to read self-development books as well, because what I've discovered, it actually helps me out to implement a lot of the things that we read in the Bible now. Because we know that things happened so long ago, and sometimes in the Bible, sometimes it's just difficult to interpret or implement rather those things into our daily lives, or just understand how they can help us. You know what I mean? So in this book here, The Power of Positive Thinking, we will just cover the first 30 minutes of the book. If you are interested in reading the audiobook, you can find it for free on the YouTube website. And basically, if you just type in The Power of Positive Thinking by Norman Vincent Peale, and you'll see one of the links there, it'll actually have it for about 3.5 hours long. And basically, the first 30 minutes, that's what we're going to cover. So having said that, we're going to get right into it. We're actually going to have it, this lesson is going to be broken down into three topics, and then we're actually going to have a conclusion. The first, we're actually going to go over the definition of positive thinking. Second, we're going to go over some of the examples of positive thinking, some of the experiences that Vincent, had, and testimonies that were shared with him, even some situation that he was in, to sort of help him with the whole power of positive thinking. And third, there are seven basically steps that can take to help build self-confidence. And we're just going to go over maybe about 2 or 3 of them here, but I highly encourage you to read this book if you're just someone who struggles with negative thoughts that continuously go through your mind on a daily basis, on an hourly basis, on a just repeatedly, to where they sometimes just cloud your judgment, or they just overtake you to where you can't think of anything positive, because there's just so much negativity around us, and this world is filled with negativity. You know what I mean? We look at the news, it's negative there. Sometimes in our families, negative there. Go home, negativity there. On the work, your job is negative there. So basically, there's all this negativity, and nobody's trying to be positive. You know what I mean? Even in some cases, even the church that we go to, that we attend, is negativity there as well. So, so we feel in the world, and to where there's all this negativity going on. So it's very important that we maintain positive thinking. Okay, so what is positive thinking? That's the definition. Positive thinking, the definition of that would be to hear bad news, or to receive bad news, or to be in a stressful situation, and to maintain or have a positive outlook on it. Now, basically, a lot of these situations that we're in, it will have us to have a negative outlook on something if we receive some bad news about it, or if we're in a stressful situation about it. An example of being in a stressful situation is maybe our health, you know what I mean? Or, hearing some bad news about that would definitely put us in a stressful situation. You know what I mean? Like, hey, I just got some news that the doctor said this is wrong and that's wrong, and if I don't do this, and this will happen, you know what I mean? And that will definitely have the negative thinking to continuously go on, all these thoughts in our head. And so to receive that information and go, okay, well, I'm not dead yet. You know what I mean? I'm still alive. I still have a chance. I can try this. I can try that. I'll follow the instructions. I'll follow through on what the doctor said to do. You know what I mean? And I'm going to fight this and I'm going to beat this. You know what I mean? And so that right there is an example of positive thinking by being in a stressful situation. Okay. And, just to recap on that, another one would be, to basically to get bad news. I mean, we look at the news. Let's literally talk about the news. When you look at the news, sometimes you hear about all this crazy stuff that's happening. Somebody got shot here. You know what I mean? These kids in school. You know what I mean? Shooting, all this stuff. You know what I mean? And so basically, there's a lot that's going on, and so it's very difficult for us to maintain a positive outlook on things like that. So we have to, though, because if we don't, we'll lose hope, and we don't want to lose hope. We want to have faith that everything is going to be all right and things are going to work out for us. Okay, so that would be the definition. So after that, the book sort of goes into stories or experiences that Vincent had in his life, and some testimonies that some people share with him. So the first one we'll cover about a gentleman there who basically had a fear of something terrible was going to happen to him. You know what I mean? Like he just basically continuously thought that something terrible was going to happen to him, and he had been experiencing this for a while. It was already in his personal life, and so it had carried over into his professional life as well. And this guy was a salesman, so he used to drive around and do door-to-door calls. And that's when he discovered that there are so many negative thoughts that goes through, someone's mind, especially when they're driving, and so basically he had been dealing with this a long time. And so his solution to this was basically to get scriptures. He would write scriptures down on card. I have cards made of scriptures. So this was a while ago, a long time ago. So basically he would take the cards and put them like, in the sun visor, or today's time we'll kind of pin them onto the vent or something like that, or maybe on the dashboard, on the speedometer, just somewhere where it's visible, and he had many of these cars, so he would swap them out, whenever, he felt needed to, felt it was needed. And that continuously gave him words of encouragement, some positive thoughts, and then over the course of time, he had began to think in a positive way because, this could be for some of us who work in an office, we can have scriptures or positive affirmations, but particularly this guy, he had scriptures, which can be affirmations as well. You know what I mean? And many of them are. Seek ye first his kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things will be added unto you. It's one. If thou canst believe, all things are possible to him that believeth. And so whatever your favorite scripture is, no weapon formed against me. You know what I mean? You can put these scripture in somewhere where you work, somewhere where you sleep, somewhere where you wake up in the morning, all around. And so basically what they will do is continuously give you a positive mindset, a positive thinking, to where you'll be able to, again, put those positive thoughts into your mind instead of the negative ones that we see daily. Okay, so another one is about the guy who lost all hope. So this guy here, he basically came into Vincent's office one day, and he's like, man, I lost all hope. I lost everything. I have nothing now. And the guy just basically went broke, which is a lot. I mean, and it doesn't go into detail about exactly what he lost, but the guy just felt like he lost everything. So I'm thinking it was a financial loss. So after that, he began to vent with Vincent and just basically say, man, I don't know what I'm going to do. And so in this situation right here, Vincent basically did a self-evaluation on him rather. And so what he did was basically got a pen, paper, and then began to say, okay, let's write down some of the things that you still have. So how's your wife? Do you still have your wife? You still married? He's like, yeah, my wife, she loves me. She says she'll never leave me. And basically I can depend on her. So he's like, okay, cool. We'll write that down. Still got your wife. So after that, he said, okay, well, how about your children? And he said, okay, my children say they love me no matter what, you know what I mean? And they're willing to help me out. So he said, okay, cool. got children. And he said, how about your health? So he said, able to get around. I see you're able, you got your senses, you're able to walk and talk and your right state of mind. He said, yeah, I do got my health. And so, I'm good with that. So he said, okay, I'm going to write that down as well. Then after that, he said, how's your relationship with God? And he's like, yeah, I believe in God, and I know that He helps me do everything, and I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Him. He said, okay, still got a good relationship with God. Then he said after that, okay, so he slid the list over to him, and said, hey, look, you still have some things. And the guy smirked, It was like, wow, I never looked at it like that. And this is important, for us to do. Sometimes we have to perform self-evaluations on ourselves. And if we can't do it ourselves because, obviously this gentleman here, he couldn't do it because he had gone through something, traumatic. So it's important for us to talk to people with a positive state of mind, with positive thinking skills. In this case, it was the pastor, Vincent at that time. It could be someone in our life who really love us, our parents. But you got to be careful who we go to when we talk about that situation like that, because it can go a long way. That was another story there of the power of positive thinking. So I encourage every one of us, if we're just continuously thinking that we lost everything and we feel like we lost everything, let's do an evaluation ourselves and let's see what we still have, because a lot of times when we think about that, we think about the things that we lost that are material, and we're not thinking about the things that are given to us for free, like our mind, our soul, our parents, our siblings, our kids. So these things here, we can't put a price on them. We can't. You just can't. If you lose those, you can't say, well, give me $1 million. You're like, no, man, you can't replace, people. You can't replace, parents. You can't do that. So that's really good information. And so another one was about a lady who basically helped him, Vincent himself, there to believe in the power of positive thinking. Long story short, he was in a rut in his company there. They had a nonprofit organization that sold magazines. This was a while back, so he sold magazines, And basically, they needed some subscribers, and so he got a meeting together, had the biggest donator to come into the office there to make a huge donation, and he had some staff members there as well. And so they got them all together and basically gave them the speech about what all they need, what they didn't have, and basically the lady heard about, because again, she made the largest donation to their organization, a nonprofit organization. After she heard him, she just said, okay, I'm going to give you something that's more valuable than money. And he was like, I don't know what's more valuable than money. I don't even know what you're talking about. So, but what is it? But they wasn't really excited to hear that. So at least he wasn't. So after that happened, she basically said, you're focused on the lack. What you do not have. You need subscribers, you need money, you need material. You just focus on everything that you don't have. But what you don't have is the power of positive thinking. You're not thinking that you can actually get what you need. So in other words, you don't believe that you can actually accomplish this goal. And afterwards, she began to have him to use the power of imagination to say, hey, you need to imagine that you can actually accomplish this first. And once you begin to imagine it, say to yourself, you believe, And so it sounds ridiculous or whatever, but the power of imagination is huge. A lot of us, we lost our imagination, growing up. Now that we're grown ups and everything, and we just don't imagine anything anymore. One thing we look at is when we say something like, that ain't real, it ain't realistic. I need to be real about the situation, things like that, but there's a thing that's real negative as well when it comes to that type of stuff, because a lot of times we miss out on our blessings because we're looking at the negative in things all the time instead of looking at the positive things many of the times. And so what she had begun to do was kind of help him to imagine that he already had what he needed instead of looking at what he didn't have. Again, this requires a lot of positive thinking. And when that happened, she was disappointed with him because he still couldn't figure it out. He still couldn't get it, you know what I mean? But she went to one of the other staff members and basically said, hey, now do you see it? Can you imagine it? You know, you having all the subscribers, the outcome of you actually, you know, you guys actually having a company to bring it back to life, you know what I mean? And he had to begin to get eager about it. And what happened was eventually Vincent, you know, had began to kind of use his imagination well and see it. And then after that, they followed up with the prayer. And when they prayed for it, Vincent was like, I don't know, you know what I mean, about this, you know what I mean. But he said that afterwards, you know, the company went up and it was very successful. And basically, he learned a valuable lesson that day, you know what I mean, was to basically be positive about situation that you're in like that. And he learned something very valuable that day. So I thought that was amazing. And so that was the story there. And so one more was the man. He had everything. The guy with the magic touch. Okay, so this was a story about the man who had the magic touch. Now this guy had his own company. He had all the bells and the whistles. You can say he had the big home. He had the car. I didn't go into details about that, but I'm pretty sure he had it if he had a home factory. You know what I mean? But he had everything. He was the type of guy that many of us know that basically every time they touch something, it turns into gold. Basically, everything works out for them. They're flooded with confidence. Everything works out for them. Every time he's in a situation, for some strange reason, it always works out for him. And so, Vincent and they were hanging out one day. He went to his factory and began to hang out with him, and so he noticed all the fancy equipment that he had and everything. Then after that, they went to his office, and he had a mahogany desk. It was nice and had modern style. I guess today, it would have like TVs and now some other amenities and things like that are in a big corner office and everything. Nice comfortable couch. So basically, at that moment, he looked on his desk. He noticed he had an old raggedy Bible, basically beat up, you know what I mean? And he was kind of surprised that he saw that this old beat up Bible was on in this nice office. He was like, and so there was a story behind that, was that basically that owner, the man, he basically had that Bible since he had graduated out of college, since he attended college. His mom gave it to him. They didn't say it, but I'm pretty sure she passed away because he was an older gentleman at that time. But he went through the majority of his life very negative. He wasn't always successful. I mean, this guy here, he wasn't born into wealth. You know what I mean? He basically was a very negative person. He pretty much was a loser. Didn't have friends. He wasn't positive at all. He was just an overall loser. He was arrogant. Nobody could tell him nothing. Stubborn. You know what I mean? That type. But he said that he was fumbling through some papers one day, and he eventually came across the Bible, and he opened it up, and the words just jumped out on him. He basically read a scripture that pertains to putting your confidence in God, and he said that scripture just stood out, and he began to read that and read more scriptures, and slowly he began to transform his mind, and it helped him out. At that moment, he began to read more and more, and basically that was the main reason why he had became successful, because he had changed his thinking. He had to, and the truth of the matter is, whatever we do in life, whatever we do, the things that we do are determined by the way we think about things. If we don't do something because we say it's hard, that's because we thought it was going to be hard. You know what I mean? But if we say, oh no, it's not going to be that hard, we just got to do this, you think about it one at a time, you're probably going to get it accomplished. You know what I mean? Or if you say, I can do this, you're probably going to be able to do it. But if you say, no, I can't do that, that's too hard, so you just told yourself you're not going to do it because it's too hard. So you just made it too hard for yourself. So that goes a long way, the positive thinking there. So just to recap, so far we have gone over the definition of positive thinking, and then now we have just finished up going over the stories there, or the examples rather, of positive thinking scenarios or examples and experiences from other people. And now we will come close to the final part here. Basically, this is the success, or the ways that we can build our self-confidence. So now there were 7 suggestions in the book there, but what we're going to do is just cover a few of them. Again, I highly encourage you guys to read this book here. It definitely will change the way you think. So one of the ways of building suggestions rather to build self-confidence is to rather create a mental successful image of yourself. You know what I mean? Because a lot of times, man, when we think about who we are, it's not a successful image. It's not a positive image. It's something that we don't want to be, something that we have fell short of. And so at that moment there, that's when we need to believe we are who we're who God said we are, who we know we can become. You know what I mean? And this book says to hold on to that image tenaciously. And so all that means is that basically you need to hold on this with every time, no matter what happens, what situation you're in, who you talk to, what you're up against. You need to hold on to this mental image of you being successful, of a successful person, because that's what's going to push you to the next level when nothing else will. You know what I mean? Because you're going to be holding on to this image. You know what I mean? And you have to make sure you hold on to it, because it's going to get hard. You know what I mean? But as long as you hold on to this image, man, you should be good. You know what I mean? And that's one of the suggestions that they have. Now, 2 is another one they said was basically not to copy, anybody. Be original, be your own self, believe in yourself, and basically don't look at someone else like they're better than you or like they're smarter than you or anything like that. Because the same person that you see with much confidence, believe me, they have the same issues mentally that you have as well, dealing with self-confidence and fear and things like that. You know what I mean? We just all deal with it in a different way. So, I think that's very important, because you can't, sometimes, when we look at other people, we believe that they are smarter, they're, what I mean, they work harder, what I mean, or they know more, what I mean, or they look better, what I mean. And so all that stuff kind of goes into our head. So they have the same struggles that we do, what I mean. We're all people. We're all people. We're all people. You know what I mean? So we just have to make sure we understand that. And so another suggestion there is basically to maintain God, have God in our life. We have to make sure that we always know that God is with us, and He's helping us out, and He's carrying us through things, and He's guiding us with the Holy Spirit. You know what I mean? This is huge. This is major, man, because there will be times in our life where we feel like no one understands us, nobody, can help us, nobody listening to us, you know what I mean? And it's just like, man, I'm alone, you know what I mean? And nobody got to do with this. Nobody, it's just me, And so those are the times when you really have to hold on to this, this information, because what it will do, it will lower your confidence, but you put your confidence in God. God builds your confidence, because you're putting your confidence in Him. He'll give you the confidence that you'll need. You know what I mean? So very important to maintain that right there. So this brings us to our conclusion. Again, just to recap, first we went over the definition of positive thinking. Basically just receiving bad news or being in a stressful situation and having a positive outlook on it. Then we went over the stories and experiences there with the gentleman who basically had thought something terrible was going to happen to him. Then we went over the lady, who showed them the power of positive thinking. We also went over the man that had the magic touch as well. And so basically, and then we also went over the guy who lost everything, or felt that he lost everything, but he still had everything. And so those are some of the scenarios there, some of the stories that we went over. And then last, we went over some suggestions to build self-confidence. And, we just basically talked about maintaining that self-image, that successful self-image, tenaciously, and basically not to copy anyone, be original, you know what I mean? And know that you need to just be yourself and don't look at other people like they're better than you know what I mean? And then third was to basically maintain God in your life. So I hope and I pray that this really touch you guys, because when I read this book, man, it was one of the first books I read. Again, that helped me in my self development journey. In addition to reading the Bible and putting this in there, I was able to put this stuff into practice and basically to implement it in my life. And I read this book maybe like a year ago. You know what I mean? And so to see the change in my life that it has taken, that the positive thinking that I have now, it's a miracle, man. You know what I mean? Because I was one of those people that I did not think positive about everything in my life. You know what I mean? So to see it now, I have to go back and read it. It just makes me smile. You know what I mean? Because it's like, wow, man, this stuff really works. You know what I mean? But you got to believe it. Mark 9:23, if thou canst believe, all things are possible to him that believe it. So I thank you guys for sticking out, hanging out, and watching the whole video all the way through. And basically, if you guys have any other self-development books that you read or that you're reading or whatever, make some comments below. You know what I mean? Because we are going to have some more self-development books as well. Again, this is just part one of the power of positive thinking, and we are going to carry out and read the entire book. Lord's will. You know what I mean? So that way we'll be able to share this information with the world, for those of us who haven't heard of it before. So with that in mind, hope that you guys like and subscribe if this is your first time watching one of the videos on Connected Through Christ CTC Lifestyle. We ask that you come back and join us, you know what I mean, and check us out, and hit that notification bell and follow us. Anyway, thanks a lot. Thank you guys a lot. We appreciate it. God bless, and I will see you at the top. God bless. Have a good one. Hey guys, before you leave, we want to thank you for coming to our channel and checking us out. If you enjoyed that video, please click on this link right here so you'll be able to watch the next video. Thanks a lot and have a blessed day.